Hey, I wanted to do another mukbang video today. So today I have something really good. I have some cookie cake, which I should have probably showed the whole cake, but I just cut it and put it back downstairs. So this was something we made for my little sister's confirmation. It's cookie cake with a lot of pink icing on top. That my mom made this icing. And it's like half icing and half like cookie cake. It's a lot of icing. Cookie cakes is like one of my favorite desserts, so I'm gonna eat them. So, yeah, on Sunday my sister, she's 14, she had a confirmation, which if you don't know, confirmation is like a Catholic thing. Here's my water. Where you basically become a full member of the Catholic Church. So, in some types of Christianity, you can't get baptized until you're a certain age, until you're older. I think Baptists, I think that's why they call them Baptists, because they only baptize like adults or whatever. In the Catholic Church, you get baptized as a baby, but then your confirmation is kind of confirming your baptism and saying, okay, now that I can talk and think for myself, yeah, I really do want to be a member of the Catholic Church. And that's something you go through in 8th grade. That's something I went through. So, yeah, sorry, it's just like silent while I like take a bite of food and then just awkward silence. So anyway, oh yeah, for reference, if you're wondering, today's Wednesday and I just got back from school like 1 second ago. It's really hot out today. Everyone's wearing shorts and like stuff, even though it's only like early March. You know, like girls wearing shorts and then their flip-flops, which I feel like is kind of weird, even though it's the right temperature, because it's early March. Like, calm down. But anyway. Okay, so confirmation. So, for confirmation, at least where we live, it's a really, like, long process to be confirmed. You have to do SSL hours. That you can't also count them for school, because school also makes you do SSL hours. SSL hours are where you have to volunteer at places, because your school makes you do that. You actually have to, around here to graduate high school, 75 hours. I've done that, so I'm good. You won't graduate if you haven't done them. Although it probably isn't that hard to fake it. But anyway, so you have to do that. You have to like pick someone, and it can't be your parent. And so every time that something says you can't pick your parent, it's always the worst. You have to pick like an adult or something that can't be your parent, and you have to like do all these like things with them, like meetings with them multiple times. It was like a 2-year process. She started like in 7th grade, and like when I was confirmed, my parents said, wow, the confirmation process is so much more complicated than when we were kids. And now my sister getting confirmed is even more complicated. They're just making it more and more complicated, which is kind of terrible. And another thing, yeah, I'm gonna get some more water. Another thing you have to do is you have to like choose a saint. And okay, I just wanted to complain about some things about the confirmation process, but so for one thing, saints in the Catholic Church. So you have to choose a saint. The thing about saints is that just like a lot of people, mostly atheists, argue that Noah's Ark isn't a good children's story, which I would agree, it's not a very good children's story. God wipes out almost the entire human race. Well, we're not supposed to murder, and I guess he can do that because he's God. But still, I think it's strange for God to do something that's so different from the morals that he gives us, which is not to kill people and to love them all. Because it's kind of like, if you want people to know that you're God... Okay, so this is going way off tangent, but God. A lot of times, someone will argue, well, that's wrong of God to do that. It was wrong of him to wipe out the entire earth. God tells women to obey their husbands. God is sexist. And then people will argue against that. Well, you can't understand God. So we have our standards on earth, but they're different than God's divine and perfect standards and morality because we can't see his plan. And what I say to that is like, yeah, but if you're gonna be God, you might as well act in a way that seems right to us. Because if you act in a way that seems completely unright to us, and how are we supposed to know that you're God? Like, you have to give us like some hints by like kind of seeming like a nice guy or something. God just kills people and then expects them to believe in him, but it's like, I don't know, because that's not my morality. But anyway, and the things, guys, I brought some strawberries too, because it was gonna be too short if I just ate the cake. So anyway, saints in the Catholic Church, a lot of them aren't not very good role models necessarily, but they're still declared to be saints. A lot of them, they practice basically self-torture. It's called mortification of your body. It's supposed to be, and my patron saint that I chose was very into mortification. Saint Gemma Galgani. She only ate like a little bit of soup sometimes, which she definitely would have died if not, I guess God like kept her living, because she definitely would have died. She did like surgery. She needed some kind of surgery where her foot got cut open, so she didn't want to take any anesthesia, so she just like held a cross or something and bared through it while they cut through a foot, which is like, ow. And she must be strong. And she, in order to avoid vanity, like, if I'm not mistaken, she avoided looking in mirrors. She didn't want to look in mirrors, and all she wore is this like black like cape thing. And she will wear like a belt around her waist, like a corset or something, in order to intentionally hurt herself. And that's kind of common among saints, because it's kind of common for them to do things like the belt, like a spiky belt wrapped tight around your waist. I've heard other saints doing that. And even like when the saints are like in like saint books that I read even as a child, a book of saints for children, it talks about that. like, when saying all this nice stuff the saints did with helping the poor and stuff, they talk about how they're, like, mortifying their body, and it's like, is this the example you're giving us? Like, anyway, I bet you could probably develop an eating disorder out of, like, hey, Morgan.
Hey.
I'm doing a mukbang.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said your name, shoot!
Just blur it out. Beep it out of me.
Okay. So, I bet you could have, like, some people, I guess, I'm not an expert, but some people develop eating disorders because they, like, want to be really skinny. Some people do because they want to exercise, like, a lot of control and feel like they have a lot of self-control. I wonder if anyone has an eating disorder because they're trying to, like, be holy and mortify their body and they're, like fasting a lot. And some people have binge eating problems, yeah. But I'm just talking about how a lot of saints would, like, barely eat anything. Mm-hmm. And how that's not the best, like, thing to teach kids. I don't know. And you know what else isn't a good thing to teach kids?
What?
I'm talking to my viewers, but you can respond to. That's my sister. She's the one who got confirmed. Morgan, oh shoot, I said your name again. What saint did you choose?
Saint Maria Goretti.
Saint Maria Goretti. Did she do any, like, self-harming things?
No, she was a child when she died.
She died as a child?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll tell
interesting.
her story. Basically, that's why I liked her. She didn't do anything
Wait.
extreme.
Come on my channel. You don't want your face to be shown, do you?
Not really. I'll just...
Well, then you can't tell it and they're just going to hear a disembodied voice.
I'll just tell it quickly.
Okay.
So basically, Saint Maria Goretti, she was like 12 years old when she died. Her neighbor tried to rape her and then stabbed her to death. And then he wanted her to, like, be, like, submissive and stuff. And she was like, no, I will never. And he was like, if you don't, like, be submissive, then I'm going to kill you. So then he killed her. And then while she was dying in the hospital, she forgave him for doing such a bad thing. And then later he became a Christian because of her. And as soon as he got out of jail, he, like, got forgiveness from the mom. And the mom was like, if my daughter can forgive you, so...
He got out of jail?
Yep.
Who made that decision? Anyway. Yeah, so that one's also a little problematic, and, like, the guy was gonna rape her, or else if she didn't cooperate, kill her, and she chose to die. But not as bad as some of that. That's also kind of an interesting one where it's like, that's not what most people would choose, I think, to be stabbed to death, but... So anyway, okay, I'm talking about that enough. I'm talking about that way too much. So anyway. I don't know. This is gonna be a controversial video now on my channel. Now I'm a controversial person, guys. So anyway. I don't really have anything else to eat, but this is kind of a short mukbang video. I should eat some oatmeal squares. No, I eat these for breakfast.
Yeah,
My dad handed me these.
But you heard, it's not just for breakfast anymore.
It's not just for breakfast anymore. Sponsored video. This isn't sponsored, but eat some oatmeal squares. These are actually really good. Nature Valley oatmeal squares. Yeah.
Plus, Quakers is kind of neat.
Quakers are kind of neat. Yeah. If you ever wondered what it's like to be a Quaker, you can just buy some Quaker Oats products and you can really get a sense for the lifestyle.
Exactly.
Dad, is anything happening interesting in politics today?
Bernie Sanders won Michigan yesterday, and of course Hillary Clinton left with more delegates. So, more corruption on the Democrat side.
Oh, this is a really controversial video now. This is a really controversial video. Religion and politics all in one. Anyway. I need to talk about something not controversial, so I'm gonna talk about, well, I told you guys yesterday that the short story that I was working on was due today, but I couldn't finish it in time. I want to finish it today, and I'm getting like 10% off though. But the weird thing is, in English, I didn't see anyone turning in their stories, even though it was due today, so I don't know. I don't know what's up with that, but hopefully I need to finish it today. I should probably work on it a lot. I worked on it like all day yesterday, and hopefully I'm gonna work on it like all day today, and just I need to type it up, and I have to do an analysis of it, write a story and analyze it. So I don't know, that's kind of interesting, but yeah, and I have like a ton of different things that I want to like do with the channel that I like thought of and stuff, but I don't want to spoil it. But I want to do like a bunch of random stuff. Yeah, that's not saying much, because I have to be ambiguous. Okay, what's something interesting I can say? Oh, okay. So, now that we finished Brave New World in English, we're reading something called The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. Which I think is a cool name, but I don't know how cool she is. I don't know. I have a feeling that, I guess I'm biased, but I'm like kind of against this book from the start, or against Ayn Rand. Ever since I heard that she thinks selfishness is a good thing, I don't know. I've heard that multiple times, and it's like, I guess this is a hard thing to explain. So in America, we value capitalism, right? And I guess I value capitalism. I don't know that much about politics, but okay, so let's say I value capitalism, right? I'm not a communist. So Ayn Rand used to live in Russia, but she apparently hated it there, so she moved to America because it was a capitalist country. And when you think about that, it's kind of like you have to question the moral character of someone who likes capitalism that much. Like, what are her motives? Like, what is she doing? I don't know. But I don't know. So she thinks that selfishness is a good thing, and apparently the book is about the main character guy is named Howard Rourke. I think his last name, no, Rourke. I don't know, Howard something. And he's supposed to be the ideal man, apparently. He is, like, not ideal. He's really rude. And it says everyone who talks to him feels like he makes them feel like they don't exist. They're not there. And he's rude, and he just, like, he honestly is, like, really autistic. Like, because he doesn't understand, like, he doesn't get it. He doesn't realize that he's acting rude or different, and he's always surprised when people, like, have a reaction. So we're just at the beginning of this book, but, like, he'll just, like, someone will be saying things to him, and he'll just be like, okay, and then he'll just, like, walk away, and then people, I don't know, and he gets surprised when he gets a negative reaction from people.
What book is this?
The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand?
Do you know much about Ayn Rand?
She wrote Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged.
That's probably, well, the book I'm most famous, or that's one of her most famous books is Atlas Shrugged, yeah. It's, a lot of people are reading that book these days.
Yeah, so I also kind of have a problem with the concept of a perfect man. Like, the perfect man is imperfect, because so are all of us. and I don't know. So he's just like, he doesn't seem like the perfect man, and like basically I spoil so many books, but I don't. Okay, I read some of Brave New World. The beginning of this book is basically like, spoilers by the way, he just like gets kicked out of architect school. He's like being an architect because he just like, well, I guess I should relate to him because I actually do this too, but he doesn't fulfill the requirements of the assignments he's given. So he's supposed to just like design buildings in these different styles. He's supposed to design like a Renaissance house, like a Gothic house or something, and every time he just does his own style, which is like a weird style, and he just like ignores the requirements. I actually do that a lot. I do that only in English class because in English there are a lot of like dumb arbitrary requirements. I feel like it's just, I don't know. So anyway, but he does it like too much. He did it so he has to get expelled, and he doesn't really care. Like, you're supposed to build buildings for a customer. It's capitalism. But he doesn't care what the customers want. See, Ayn Rand's a capitalist. She should understand supply and demand. He doesn't care about supply and demand. He's just gonna build whatever he wants and like try to convince people to buy it with his like weird architect style. So I don't know. And it's not, I don't know. It was really boring, and then it got really interesting when he was talking to this like guy named Howard. No, he's named Howard. This guy named like Peter, and he's like really self-conscious, and he has to be like the best architect, and all he thinks about is showing everyone how great he finally is, being the greatest architect ever, beating everyone else. It's like a competition, and he wants to be the best to show everyone how great he is. It's kind of interesting character, and then he goes to Howard for like advice, and he's like, what should I do? Because he either has to go to this really fancy schmancy college, or he has to work for like a really good architect, and he doesn't know what he should do. So anyway, so I don't know, it's kind of interesting, the conversation between the two of them, because for some reason Peter feels like he can actually finally be himself around Howard, and so he kind of just like breaks down and tells him all about how like he doubts that he's really as good as everyone says he is, and this is a huge decision, and he doesn't know how to he doesn't know what to make of it. So that's kind of what's happening with that book, and I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I usually, but I don't know. Books usually tend to like grow on me as I like read them more. Most of the stuff we read in English is like ends up being really good because it's like classic literature, and you know our English teacher always says this, but they have themes that are somewhat eternal. They're relevant for many generations, and even though this was written in, I think, like the 1920s, there are still people who are rude and confused and kind of outsiders, and there are still people who are extremely self-conscious and ambitious and want money and power, and that's kind of what Peter's like. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna get some chips. Okay. So, yeah, here's some Cape Cod chips. My math teacher was talking about these today, because he's a really funny guy. He's like, raise your hand if you like potato chips, and then like a lot of people raise their hand, and he was like, which brand do you prefer? And people, that's how he talks. It's kind of a joke, but and then everyone's like, oh, Pringles, whatever, and he's like, I like Cape Cod. They're very greasy and crunchy. They are very greasy and crunchy. I like these a lot. I don't like Pringles. Pringles are bad. By the way, I think I say this in all my mukbangs, but what I eat isn't necessarily the best, so you might not want to eat like me. I don't know. It's not that bad because I ate strawberries, right? But, and I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. This sounds dumb, but I don't know if potato chips are really unhealthy necessarily. I don't know, there's a lot of foods that people say is unhealthy, but when I look at the back, like, there's not a lot of saturated fat, and there's not a lot of sugar. And so it kind of just makes me wonder, well, like, what exactly is bad about it? And this has protein too, and vitamin C. I don't know, but maybe it's not that healthy. I find it interesting that people disagree over what the healthiest way to eat is. With some people saying that a vegan diet is very good for preventing heart disease. Some people eating paleo, which is kind of what our ancestors would have ate. So, like, kind of like a lot of meat and, like, nuts and stuff. People saying different things. I know Freely the Banana Girl is a big vegan YouTuber. And it's very interesting. She'll, like, do bigger YouTubers. She'll, like, take their, like, videos, like, what I eat in a day or whatever, and kind of, like, criticize them. And she says the same things every time, which is, I think I've heard her say that we don't need protein. Like, not really. I guess we're getting enough, or it's not necessary. And she thinks that sugar is really good. She seems to not realize that sugar is bad, or at least that's what, I mean, if you look it up online, most sources will say that sugar is bad for your health. She seems to think it's a good thing. She thinks, like, all carbs are good. She always says, carb the beep up. And you're supposed to eat a lot of carbs. She thinks that if you do that, you can eat as much as you want and still be really skinny, which, admittedly, she eats a ton of food. She eats, like, 50 bananas in a day. Not literally. But she eats a lot of fruit, and she's really, really skinny, and she's, like, in her 30s. And she used to be kind of chubby. You can see the pictures. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, is that true? But at the same time, you have to be skeptical about things. I don't know. I was talking to a vegan guy at my school about Freely, and he was like, yeah, she recommends too many carbs. She eats too many carbs, so. The Atkins diet, I think, is known for restricting carbs. I think that's the big thing it's known as. So I think it's interesting that people have different opinions about this. I guess just because there isn't enough research, or maybe because people are emotionally invested in certain causes and they think they're right, no matter what. But I think in the future, we're gonna know for sure exactly what's the healthiest way to live, and we're all gonna be doing that. And they're just gonna, the people in the future are just gonna look back on us and, like, all of our diets and ideas about what was healthy and unhealthy and just like laugh and be like, how could they be so stupid? Alright, this is like 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go. Bye guys, thanks for watching.